Could soon learn who will be the next city manager of Wichita. The race is down to 2 candidates after current assistant city manager Dante Martin pulled his name from consideration.
Sophia Jernander joins us more with that upcoming decision and more on why Martin withdrew his name from running. Sophia?
Mike and Rachel, over the weekend, Dante Martin announced he is withdrawing from consideration for city manager, leaving 2 finalists, Mark Freitag and Dennis Marstall. Today, Dante Martin sent a statement to 12 News which reads, "After reflecting on the demands of the position and what it would mean for me, both professionally and personally, I decided to withdraw from further consideration." The city has not made any further comments about Martin's withdrawal. The City Council is holding an executive session with the City Manager Selection Committee tomorrow, deciding between these 2 finalists. Here's what the candidates say they'll work to get done if they're chosen for the position.
I provide a long-term vision. I provide intent for projects, initiatives, services, programs. I give left and right boundaries. And then I tell the team to go forth and do good things.
I want people to believe in their local government, and the way to do that is to deliver services in a cost-effective manner, in a comprehensive manner that meets their needs.
Current city manager Robert Layton will retire at the end of the year.